The general term of an arithmetic or linear sequence is Tn equals 15 minus 2n, where n is an element of n. So n is an element of the natural number set, which means it's a positive whole number. A, part 1. Write down the first three terms of the sequence. Part 2. Find the first negative term of the sequence. B, part 1. Find Sn equals T1 plus T2 plus ... plus Tn, the sum of the first n terms of the series in terms of n. B, part 2. Find the value of n for which the sum of the first n terms of the series is 0. So A, part 1, write down the first three terms of the sequence. So first of all, it's important to note that arithmetic or linear means that the sequence will have the same first difference. So the first difference is going to be constant. So the difference between each term will be the same number or will be a constant. So in order to find the first three terms, all we do is we take the formula Tn equals 15 minus 2n, and for the first term, T1, term 1, we just swap that n for 1 with brackets around it. 15 minus 2 times 1 is 15 minus 2, which is 13. To find the second term, T2, we swap that n for 2 with brackets around it. 15 minus 2 times 2 is 15 minus 4, which is 11. And for term 3, we swap that n for 3 with brackets around it. And 15 minus 6 will be 9. So this sequence is 13, 11, 9, ... If we wanted to find the 50th term, we would swap that n for 50. If we wanted to find the 100th term, we would swap that n for 100, etc. Part 2. Find the first negative term of the sequence. So the first negative term, this means less than 0. So we have our inequality sign and 0. And it's important to note that n has to be an element of n, so it has to be a natural number which is positive and whole. So what we do is we take our nth term, 15 minus 2n, and we let it be less than 0. So 15 minus 2n is less than 0. Then we just have to solve for n. So we're going to start off by getting rid of the 15. So we're going to minus 15 to both sides. So they'll cancel out. Bring down the minus 2n, bring down the less than sign, and 0 minus 15 is minus 15. Then to get rid of the minus 2, we have to divide across by minus 2. So minus 2n divided by minus 2, the minus 2's will cancel, leaving us with n. And minus 15 divided by minus 2 is 7.5. It's very, very, very important to note that when we're dealing with inequalities, if we ever multiply or divide by a negative number, in this case we divided by a negative number, we flip the inequality sign the other way around. So we had a less than sign, now we have a greater than sign. So we flip an inequality when we multiply or divide by a negative number. So we get n is greater than 7.5, which means in English n is greater than 7.5. So n must be equal to 8 because n has to be a positive whole number. So it has to be equal to 8. Now this is not because 7.5 rounds off to 8. If the answer had been 7.1, we would still get 8 because it has to be the first whole number that's greater than 7.5. So we would never round this down unless the inequality sign was flipped the other way. So now we have to find term 8 because we got n equal to 8, so we have to find term 8, the 8th term. So again, we take our nth term, 15 minus 2n, and we swap that n for an 8 with brackets around it. So that gives us 15 minus 2 times 8, which is 15 minus 16, which is minus 1. So minus 1 is the first negative term. Part B. Find Sn equals Tn plus T2 plus ... plus Tn, the sum of the first n terms of the series in terms of n. So find Sn basically means find the nth term formula. So our sequence is Sn equals 13 plus 11 plus 9 plus ... And we got these numbers from part A. And the only thing that's different is we have pluses in between instead of commas. So our first term was 13, our second term 11, our third term 9, and so on. So what we have to do is find the a and the d. The a represents the first term, and in this case the a is 13. So a is equal to 13, the first term. D is always the common difference, so d is minus 2 because we're going down by 2 each time. Then we take our series formula, which is given to us in our formula tables, and we substitute a as 13 and d as minus 2. So we swap that a for 13 with brackets around it, and we swap that d for minus 2 with brackets around it. N over 2 becomes a half n. 2 times 13 is 26. N by minus 2 is minus 2n. Minus 1 by 2 is plus 2. So then we have a half n times 26 minus 2n plus 2. 26 plus 2 is 28. And we bring down the minus 2n. And then a half of 28 is 14. And a half of minus 2n is minus 1n, or minus n. So Sn is equal to n multiplied by 14 minus 1n, or minus n. Find the value of n for which the sum of the first n terms of the series is 0. So what we have to do is let Sn equal to 0, and Sn is what we got in the previous question. So we got Sn equal to n times 14 minus n. So we can let n equal to 0, and then we can let 14 minus n equal to 0. So 14 minus n equals 0. We're going to minus 14 to both sides to cancel out that 14. Bring down the minus n, bring down the 0. 0 minus 14 is minus 14. Change this to positive, and change this to positive. So n is equal to 14. So the value of n for which the sum of the first n terms is 0 is 14.